1,300 meters to our left is where the railway lines were, and that's where the Black Watch attacked on the morning of the 13th, Black Friday they called it, okay? It's in those fields opposite those trees where highways have been built now that they were wiped out again for the second time. The generals criticized, and they said there was three things that caused it. He says, one, the terrain favored the enemy. Two, it was broad daylight across the open field. And thirdly, and very critically, he said that the troops were of lesser quality. Now, okay, I hear what he's saying, but keep in mind, the regiment had been reformed in the last 3 months, right? The replacements are raw. They didn't see the fighting in Normandy and that. Barely any of them did. The regiment was just totally new. So the poor men are put to their test over there, and they unfortunately get badly decimated again. So 3 days later, on the 16th, the Royal Hamilton Light Infantry attacks this area. And this is where the hand-to-hand fighting occurs in all the homes around here and so forth, okay? A lot of heavy fighting. It goes on for 3 days, okay? And like I said, it gets so bad, he calls in artillery on his own position. It gets that bad. Now, the tank behind me is a tank, it's a tribute to the Fort Garry horse. Sorry, thank you. This don't want to get wet. And I got an expert up here with me, as you know, Bud, to talk about the tank. But just before Bud talks, I want to talk about tank warfare just for a little bit from what I can tell you, okay? The Germans had one of the most feared guns of the war. It was the 88 millimeter. It was originally a flak gun, okay? It was a huge artillery piece that was designed to shoot down bombers at 25,000 feet. It had the range even greater than that, okay? It shot at 2,700 feet per second. It was a devastating weapon. The Germans believed that they could take this flak gun, develop an armor-piercing shell for it, and use it to shoot Allied tanks with as an anti-tank gun, okay? This is the brass shell casing from an 88 millimeter shell. I saw it last year in a store, and I walked away from it. This time I didn't, so I got it now. Anyway, with the projectile warhead, it would be about this big, okay? It was a fearsome weapon. For Hitler's birthday in late 1941, the Germans' birthday present to Hitler was a Tiger tank. Now they had taken the 88 millimeter gun and installed it into the hull of a Tiger Mark I tank. It was the most fearsome tank of the war, okay? It had twice the armor. It was almost twice the weight of a Sherman. And when you saw a Tiger, it got your attention, okay? The Tiger could take out a Sherman at 2,000 meters, 2 kilometers, okay? I've heard the veterans tell me, including Bud, that they sometimes wait till 2 Shermans crossed adjacent to one another and shoot through them both. It was that powerful of a weapon, okay? The Sherman, having a short-barreled 75 millimeter gun, was at a big disadvantage. This is it here, okay? It's a lesser velocity gun, short barrel. It doesn't have the range or their armor penetrating powers the Tiger did. It was quite often a scenario that 4 or 5 Shermans would attack a Tiger tank to take it, and the guy who got around the back to take a shot at the engine compartment or you know, a weaker part of the tank was about the only way to take on a Tiger and defeat it. A lot of times, the Bud will credit to, they usually called in Hawker Typhoon fighter bombers, firing 5-inch rockets to take out a Tiger. It was a devastating weapon, the Tiger tank. So I brought in Bud up here with me today to talk about maybe being inside of a Sherman tank and what his job was and so on. Here's the expert.
Well, I was a loader operator, they called him. Load the gun and operate the radio. I was up at the top, and all I had to see out was that little periscope. It was about 4 inches wide and about 1 inch high. And that's all I could see out. You took the orders from any rest of the crew, loaded the gun, pitched the empties out, and I think the easiest way for me to do that, rather than try and explain all the garbage that went on inside, was to answer questions, whatever you would like to know. If I can answer them, I sure will. So if anybody's got a question, please ask me.
How many people were in the tank with you?
4 others and myself. The driver, co-driver, and the radio operator, gunner, and the crew commander.
What regiment were you in?
Headquarters Squadron, 4th Canadian Armoured Brigade.
4th Canadian Armoured Brigade, I was in Lake Superior Regiment. I was in the 4th Armoured Brigade, the 4th Armoured Division.
4th Armoured
Division.
4th Canadian Armoured Division, Lake Superior Regiment. A motor
Oh, you were in the Lake Soups?
Yes.
Lake Soups.
Oh, that was the motor battalion.
Sure.
Oh, they were the motor battalion, mister. Yeah.
We support each other.
Yeah, you're
All
damn
the way
right.
from
We were
Normandy.
awful glad
All
to
the way
see
from-
you boys around.
How old are you?
How old? Oh, 28.
28.
Oh, yeah, I'm 93.
I'm 94, so we're
Oh, you got me.
somebody that nobody was doing.
Get up there, Bill. Stand there, please, so we can get a picture.
There you go. There you go.
Shake hands, boys.
Me too.
Shake hands, boys. Right on. Thank you. Thank you.
You and I were the fortunate ones
Yeah.
that survived.
Well, yeah, I got shot out of one tank.
Yeah.
My driver and co-driver were both killed. A shot came right in the side, killed them both.
Would you got a panzer post or an 88?
No. They were it's long barrel 75.
Oh, yeah.
They were just as good, almost.
Yes.
88.
Yes, they were. The Firefly.
No,
Not the
they were
Firefly.
they were ordinary anti-tank.
Oh, and the tank.
Yeah, and they.
We had a 6-pounder, but they weren't much good.
Well, that's what we had.
Yeah, but the 6-pounder was the whole platoon. Platoon. Yeah, I know.
A 6-pounder wouldn't touch a tiger
Oh,
or
no, wouldn't dare.
wouldn't
get close.
Didn't even scare them. How many rounds? We had about somewhere around 75 rounds stashed, and there was 8 rounds right down on the floor of the turret, right under the gun, ready to go. We carried 3 armor-piercing, 3 shells, and 2 smoke. And that was right on the floor underneath the gun, like that was to grab quick. And from when you run out of them, you had to get your co-driver to get them out of the rack and pass them back into the turret.
What regiment were you with?
Actually, no regiment. We were headquarters squadron for the whole brigade.
What unit?
Well, 4th Armored Brigade. The 4th Armored Brigade consisted of 3 tank regiments, the BCRs, Foot Guards,
Canadian Grenadier Guards.
Canadian Grenadier Guards, and motor battalions.
What was the Quebec unit in the 4th? The Quebec tank? Wasn't there a Quebec tank unit in the 4th Armored Division?
No, not the French. They were in the second. It was, I forget who they were now, but
Sherbrooke
Sherbrooke Fusiliers was one.
Yeah, Sherbrooke Fusiliers, Fort Garry Horse.
Were the Fusiliers?
Yeah, they were in that brigade.
Yeah.
Fort Garry, the Land D-Day.
Yeah,
Sherbrooke
but
Fusiliers, Fort Garry Horse, and what the hell was the other?
They were just the same as our brigade. You see, only they were the 5th Armored Brigade.
When you ran low on ammunition, how quick was supply?
If we ran, we never did get a chance to run short of ammo. There was one time it was the day I was taken prisoner because I won't go into that. Our high class officers pulled the boo boo.
High pay hell?
Bud, did you have assigned seats, or were there chairs, or how did you get crammed in all there?
Whoa. Well, in the turret, there was like little round seats that used to fold down, or you could bunk them up. Well, there were enough to get part of your butt on and kind of sit like that. The gunner had a pretty decent seat, and the crew commander had one that turned up just the same as what I had. Yeah.